morning, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for our annual Veterans Day Assembly. My name is Lou Marconi. I'm the building principal here at Kinsner Elementary. There is a portion of the assembly where I will ask veterans to stand when we list your branch, and I'll say a little something about the branch. At the end, at the conclusion of the assembly, I would ask that veterans parade down our hallway. We're going to go down the hallway. We're going to have our K through 3 students lining the hallway with American flags to celebrate and honor your sacrifice. We will exit out the door, and we're going to go to the flagpole, and we'll do an honorary flag raising. First and foremost, I want to begin by recognizing all of those among us who have been a part of the great brotherhood and sisterhood that we call the U.S. military. Our veterans, active duty service members, guardsmen, and reservists. It is your service and sacrifice that has kept our country safe and free. At this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We're going to have the students lead us.
The Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, ladies. At this time, we're going to welcome some of our student representatives who are going to give us some background on what today means for our country. We're going to need Cora, Dean, Sean, Emma, Will, Stella, and Madison. Please come to the front. Let's give them a round of applause. It should be nerve-wracking.
When Francis Scott Key wrote the Star-Spangled Banner almost 200 years ago, he called America the land of the free and the home to the brave. Those words are as true today as they were then. Throughout our nation's history, America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardmen have bravely answered the call to defend our freedom, to aid our friends and allies, and to turn back aggressors.
We can never fully repay our debt of gratitude to the more than 650,000 American service members who died in battle or the 1.4 million who were wounded. We can, however, recognize and thank the 25 million veterans still living today.
These words are inscribed in the Korean War Memorial in Washington, D.C. Our nation honors her sons and daughters who answered the call to defend a country they never knew and people they never met.
Those words apply equally to many of our World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, and Gulf War veterans, as well as they apply to today's active duty service members. Tomorrow, veterans who are helping to maintain peace throughout the world.
Today is our privilege to say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let them know that we appreciate them for their service and honor them for their sacrifice. The price of freedom is high. We cannot afford to forget those willing to pay it. Today we celebrate America's veterans for keeping this nation the land of the free and home of the brave.
At this time, we're going to have our choir sing our Red, White, and Blue and Veterans March for the school.
Our American flag is made up of 3 important colors. Each one has a special meaning that helps define us as a nation.
The color red symbolizes haughtiness and valor. The color white symbolizes purity and innocence.
The color blue represents diligence, perseverance, and justice.
With
One more time for the Kinsner Choir. There are 6 branches of the U.S. military: the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Navy, and Space Force. Each branch has full-time military personnel, as well as the reserves, the Army National Guards and the Air National Guards. The reserves and guards can be called in for full-time duty when needed, but they have other civilian jobs. If you are a member of the United States Air Force or were a member of the United States Air Force, please at this time stand to be recognized. You can remain standing. The mission of the U.S. Air Force is to defend the United States from attack from outside forces. They also provide air support for other departments such as the Army and Navy. The members help in recovering troops on the ground that are stranded or in danger. The personnel is trained to combat for possible terrorist attacks, wars, and to respond to catastrophes wherever they happen in the world. Thank you for your service. The United States Army, please stand. Round of applause, please. The United States Army is a land-based branch of the armed forces. The units are trained to preserve peace wherever they are deployed. The soldiers provide defense of the United States. The U.S. Army is responsible to support national policies and defend against aggression and any threats of peace and security in the United States. The Army National Guard is governed by each state of the United States. It is the only branch in the military required by the Constitution. The members of the National Guard commit some of their time to preserve peace. They are not full-time soldiers, but respond when they are called to duty. Ladies and gentlemen, thank our Army for their service. The National Guard. If anybody is part of the National Guard, please stand. Thank you. Thank you for your service. The United States National Guard is an organization of the U.S. Army and U.S. Air Force. The National Guard is a militia, which means it's an emergency army for the U.S. Each U.S. state has its own National Guard, usually under control of that state's government. The Air National Guard does mainly air defense jobs, while the Army National Guard does the jobs on the ground. The two National Guard groups are identified by the kinds of jobs they do. The Air National Guard does mainly air defense, and Army does jobs on the ground. Thank you. If you're part of our National Guard, thank you for your service. The Coast Guard. If you have anybody who's part of the Coast Guard, please stand. Here's a little bit about the Coast Guard. The major concern of the U.S. Coast Guard is to guard domestic waterways, lakes, rivers, and ports. The Coast Guard is under control of the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. During times of war, the Coast Guard can be transferred to the U.S. Navy, which is under the Department of Defense. The Coast Guard performs rescues, law enforcement, drug prevention, and responds to any incident on water. The United States Marine Corps. The Marines are a rapid reaction force. They are trained to fight on the seas and land. The Marine Corps are part of the Navy. The Marine Corps operates on board warfare ships around the world. There are also aviation squadrons embedded within the Navy carrier air wings and aircraft carriers. The members of the U.S. Marine Corps have a reputation as being among the most fiercest and best trained troops in the world. Thank you, Marine Corps. The United States Navy. The U.S. Navy conducts its missions by sea to secure and protect the oceans around the world. Their mission is to secure safe travel and trade by sea. The Navy boasts 290 combat ships, the largest side of active battleships in the world. It also has the world's largest aircraft carrier fleet, with 11 presently in service and 3,700 aircrafts. The U.S. Navy has more than close to 500,000 active duty service personnel and about 100,000 reservists. Thank you to our Navy. The U.S. Space Force. The U.S. Space Force is the newest branch of the military and was signed into law in December of 2019. The U.S. Space Force Act says that it will exist to make sure that the United States can operate freely in space. It ensures that they conduct military actions in space quickly and for a long time. Round of applause for the Space Force. No matter which branch that you served in, wherever your job or your path or how many years that you served, raising your hand and committing yourself to service in the military was a brave and selfless act. One that resulted in few guarantees of where you'd be assigned, of where you might develop in some cases, and in some cases, if you would return home. Thanks to those who have served and those who continue to serve today, America can sleep peacefully at night because of you. Military men and women, they know the risks, but they also accept them in many cases so others won't have to. Today, it's our privilege to recognize and say thank you to all of America's veterans, to let you know that we appreciate your service and that we honor your sacrifices. At this time, I would just like a round of applause to each service member. Please welcome Coco for a poem reading.
Our thanks for all you do, defending our flag, the red, white, and blue. As Americans, we know what freedom means. The right to joy, the joy, the peace, and the right to drink. Freedom we love, but it is not free. The sacrifice is great, and you gave willingly. Our thoughts and prayers are with you today, as you fight for freedom so far away. May God keep you safe in all that you do, and bring you back home to those who love you.
At this time, we'll have a school-wide song. This is called Thank You, Soldiers.